Hello there, everyone. As you can see, Chrollo Lucilfer is in Hunter x Hunter NENxIMPACT. He was revealed at Anime Expo, and this is a character whose ideal fighting game moveset could be interpreted in so many different ways, right? So I definitely want to go over the footage that is provided here, so that way I can analyze it and give you my opinion on how they adapted him. But not only did we get Chrollo revealed here, we also got a couple other character confirmations, one of which being Feitan, as you can see here, because he is in the trailer. Even though this trailer doesn't show any gameplay for him, he is in the intro here, the walkout for Chrollo for some reason. And also, not included anywhere in this trailer is another character who was leaked, I guess you could say, because before they showed off this trailer at Anime Expo, they were having some technical difficulties in getting the trailer actually up to show the audience. And so during that time in which they were fixing that issue, they were opening up for questions. And one of the questions that one of the audience members asked was, who is your team? This was directed at the, I don't remember if it was a Bushiroad guy or an Aiding guy or an Arc System Works guy, actually. But somebody obviously involved with the project was asked what their team is going to be. And it's possible that I misheard them, right? I don't know if they have their VOD public for people to go back and check. I probably should have made a clip of it in hindsight now that I think of it. And like I said, I might have just misheard it, right? So if you guys heard something else, feel free to correct me. But based on what I heard, it sounded as if he said Morel. And of course, with the Japanese speaker saying it, they said it more like Morel, Morel. And that's why I'm slightly hesitant to think that it's actually Morel, because maybe I misheard him say Chrollo, and the only reason he was confident in saying Chrollo was because the trailer was right about to be shown, right? Because Chrollo, if you were to speak it in Japanese pronunciation, would be Chrollo, and so the Roro in Chrollo would sound very similar to Morel, right? If you were saying Morel. But I'm pretty sure he said Morel. So basically, we got Feitan and Morel and Chrollo all at once, even though we only saw gameplay for one of them. But I guess that keeps the trend consistent in terms of just revealing characters for this game in the most unceremonious ways possible, right? But I would definitely say so far, Feitan is the absolute most surprising character on this roster. And just want to say this about Feitan before we get to Chrollo, since he will be the main focus of this video. I didn't have a very good idea in terms of what Feitan's moveset could be when I actually recorded my video talking about a potential roster for the game. But since recording that video and since posting that video, I made a comment, which I am just using as an addendum of thoughts in terms of thoughts that I get for other characters that I didn't have at the time of recording that video. One of which being Feitan. So since posting that video, I actually got an idea for Feitan, and I can't believe I didn't think of this when I was recording the video. But Feitan's whole Nen ability, Pain Packer, that is straight up just the Baroque mechanic from Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which is a game that Aiding themselves made. So I think that would be really fun and interesting if Feitan had access to essentially a Baroque mechanic by being able to spend his red life as a cancel into the Pain Packer attack. I think that would be really interesting. Remember, Pain Packer couldn't activate unless Feitan took some kind of damage, right? That was the condition. Pain Packer can't activate unless he takes some kind of damage. But then the pain that he sends back via Pain Packer is multiplicative, right? It's multiplicative based on how much damage Feitan took. And again, that is 100% what the Baroque mechanic from Tatsunoko vs. Capcom is. So I really hope he has some kind of unique mechanic with Pain Packer like that, instead of it just being some kind of cinematic attack. And now that we know for a fact that he's in the game, or, you know, at least 99% chance. This could just be like a cinematic thing for a story mode something, but I'm pretty sure since he's fully modeled, it does mean he's in the game, right? So now that we know there's a 99% chance that he is going to be playable, thinking about it in hindsight, I guess the reason why they wanted him in the game is maybe not because of Pain Packer, but maybe they thought up a cool moveset for his umbrella attacks, right? Maybe they just wanted to have a character that uses a weapon like that, a unique weapon, such as the umbrella, right? But I'm definitely not holding my breath that they will make the Pain Packer a unique mechanic like Baroque, just based on what we've seen so far with Kurapika and now Chrollo. Because I think after this Chrollo trailer, it's evident that the devs are definitely not, maybe they're caring about the lore, you know, to some extent, but they are not regarding the lore as the utmost law that they have to abide by. They are definitely and obviously willing to bend the lore when it comes to just balancing the game. And knowing that, I could see maybe they're expecting, you know, one specific character having access to Baroque. Maybe that would be too hard to balance. And so maybe Pain Packer actually is just going to be a cinematic. In which case, I will be slightly disappointed. But I'm still going to hold out hope until we actually see what the moveset looks like. And also in these trailers, we're not seeing the HUD. So even if we see a trailer for Feitan that shows him do Pain Packer, we won't really know if it's behaving like Baroque unless we, you know, see his HP bar, see him convert red life into damage. So now let's actually watch Chrollo, the reason why most people probably clicked this video. You guys can watch the video yourself. I've already seen it. I watched it at the Anime Expo live stream. So you guys, I'm assuming most people who are watching this already saw the trailer. So I'm just going to start out immediately by playing it in slow-mo. Well, maybe I don't need to make the walkout in slow-mo, but I will turn it into slow-mo once the moves start. When I first saw this, I was a little confused. Because obviously, these are Chrollo's legs, but I was hearing Feitan's voice, so it was kind of gaslighting me into thinking, wait, is this what Feitan was wearing? I can't say I was paying too much attention to what kind of shoes Feitan was wearing, right? See, obviously this is more than 3 characters, so this isn't just some kind of unique walkout for if you're playing a team of all Phantom Troop members or something. So with it being 4, I'm thinking, like I said, it might be some kind of story mode thing, because one of the things they mentioned at Anime Expo is that it is going to have some kind of story mode thing, even though it's probably going to be very minimal, right? That's definitely not the kind of thing they should be wasting their very small budget on. As you can see, they're using his, what I consider to be his default fit. I know a lot of people prefer him with the suit and the headband. You know, if this game were ever going to get alternate costumes, that should definitely be one they add. But even though I do agree that he looks better in the suit, like I said, I still consider this to be his default fit. So if you had to go with one, I think this is the correct one to go with. So now that we are going to look at the moveset, let me put it in slow-mo and mute it to spare your ears. So we see some kind of magic series here, and immediately you can see, just based on the amount of kicks he's doing, that this might be the first instance, especially those kicks, which kind of are reminiscent of Chun-Li's lightning legs, Chun-Li's air legs, right? Chun-Li can do lightning legs in the air. This seems very similar to that, but of course the angle is a bit more downwards instead of just straight across. But what I was going to say is that immediately it's apparent here, and this is the first time that it's become apparent, that the devs are actually willing to use post-anime manga chapters as inspiration for the moveset. Because Chrollo does a lot of kicks in his fight against Hisoka, and this is obviously what these are referencing, right? These kicks, because you don't ever see him do any kind of, I I don't think you ever get to see him do any kind of melee attack in the anime, right? And of course, if you're going to put a character in a fighting game, they need some kind of normals, right? They need some kind of buttons. So maybe Chrollo was the one exception in which they were willing to take inspiration from post-anime chapters, right? But this could potentially be telling for some other characters' movesets as well. And seeing immediately that they are willing to take inspiration from post-anime chapters, I immediately, when I saw this, started suspecting, okay, if they're doing his moveset from his fight with Hisoka, which first of all was one of the best fights in any kind of shonen manga ever. I don't remember if I mentioned this in some of my other videos, but I actually have been reading the manga. When I made the initial roster prediction video, I had not read the manga, but since then I have been reading the manga, and just recently I finished the Chrollo and Hisoka fight. So it is very much in my recent memory, conveniently, so I definitely feel as if I have the qualifications to rate his moveset interpretation here. So when I saw this, I was thinking, okay, if he's going to be using his moves from his fight with Hisoka, I'm expecting him being able to send out the dummies, the gallery faked dummies that are being controlled by the stamp. But none of that is here, as you will see, or not see. But we see his air legs can combo into that OTG. Also, this dash is going to show up again later. And I don't know if this is just a universal dash or if it's some kind of command dash. Something that happens later makes me think that it might be a command dash. This reminds me of an SNK character jumping up and turning upside down to do a kick. I think that Rock Howard is the character it's reminding me of. It might be Rock Howard. Somebody from SNK. Actually, is that a kick or is that a slash? Something I don't like about these trailers is that they have it more zoomed in than what it should be. So a lot of times things just happen out of frame like this, right? Okay, I don't think that's a kick. It still kind of reminds me of Rock Howard's kick. Oh, he's using Ben's knife. Okay. I don't think I recognized that he was using Ben's knife when I saw the trailer in real time at Anime Expo. Okay, Ben's knife plus the kicks. I think that's a good decision in terms of his general attacks. You can play this at normal speed. Okay. So here is a super that we see, and this is what I was talking about in terms of them obviously being willing to break lore. So these are literally the indoor fish being used outdoors, because you see that we are on the we're on one of the outdoor stages, right? Need I show you again? See, they are very, very clearly outside, and it seems like a very deliberate choice to have them be on this stage for the trailer of Chrollo, in which he uses indoor fish. So I find that a little disappointing that it's not entirely lore accurate, because as I speculated and kind of theory crafted in my roster prediction video, you could still definitely have a balanced roster while still keeping them lore accurate. But lo and behold, he's able to use the indoor fish outside. Also, I recently rewatched my roster predictions video to see how well it aged, and for some reason, I mixed up the indoor fish gimmick. For some reason, when I recorded that video, I was under the impression that the indoor fish were actually outdoor fish and that they couldn't be used indoors, when it's actually the inverse, right? Which is obvious when you actually say the full name, which is indoor fish. And of course, that makes a lot more sense than them being outdoor fish, because presumably these indoor fish are used by Chrollo, so that way he has a means of keeping somebody still and also keeping them alive in order to fulfill his conditions, in order to steal their ability, right? Because you can assume that one of the conditions in order to steal an ability is to keep them still, and we also know that they need to be alive. So knowing that, it makes the indoor fish so much cooler, knowing that they actually have a weird, hyper niche specific use that specifically only works with Chrollo because it synergizes with Bandit's secrets so well, right? But we are using indoor fish as an attack outdoors here. And what's interesting is that you see that it's almost like a, I forgot what it's called in Darkstalkers, but you know the gimmick in Darkstalkers in which each character can kind of take you to the astral realm and use their own kind of gimmick in said astral realm. The background changes and it looks like an astral plane with clouds and everything. That's what this looks like. Or maybe an Infinity Storm from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, right? And maybe that's how they're justifying the indoor fish being used, because maybe they're saying Chrollo is somehow like emitting some kind of ability from Bandit's secret that was never used in the anime or manga to create an enclosed space, right? Because potentially he could have something like that stored away in the book. So that would be some kind of way to still keep the abilities lore accurate, right? Even though it might not be an ability that was seen in the anime, the fact that he could have had it in the anime inside of Bandit's secret makes it better than just straight up having the fish come out while being able to see the outdoor sky. So I'm thinking that might be what they're doing here with the poor man's Infinity Storm. But gameplay-wise, the interesting thing that I want to mention here is that because it's kind of like an Infinity Storm, and you can see that the attacks he's doing here look pretty much just like regular buttons, right? These just look like normals or command normals, just some kind of regular combo, right? Some kind of magic series. And then he does that dash again, right? The fact that he's just doing some kind of regular combo with the command dash, and then the fish hit periodically, it makes me think that this is not just a cinematic super, right? It doesn't just go into some cinematic. This whole sequence here, let me play it at normal speed. This whole sequence here. Yeah, very clearly. I forgot how much they actually showed in the indoor fish realm. Yeah, very clearly here, this is not just some cinematic super that activates. This is some kind of, I don't even know if there's a name for it. It's not an install super because Chrollo himself isn't powered up, but he has the fish that can bite his opponent, which presumably lets him get combo extensions that he wouldn't otherwise have, right? Because you can see here, he's calling in the fish to get a combo extension. And I don't know what is causing the fish to bite. I don't know how you determine when exactly the fish will bite. Maybe he needs to land a certain attack, which will automatically bring them in. Maybe you have to press some other kind of button, like an assist button. It doesn't really look as if they're on some kind of set rhythm, right? Because you can see that they are kind of swimming around on a set pattern here. And then something happens where they just immediately change direction and start chasing. And of course, you have a little bit of time to prepare for the fish biting, because as they are coming in towards his opponent, they start to light up, probably for visual clarity. See? So I'm really curious what he's actually doing, because every time the fish decide to close in on Kurapika here, Chrollo isn't doing the same exact ability, because look at this. So this time he does some kind of kick, right? It looks like some kind of like medium kick or heavy kick, or maybe a command normal. And then the fish immediately targets Kurapika when that lands. And then the second one follows. You don't know if the second one just automatically follows a set time after the first one, or if the second one came in because of some other button that he pressed after this kick, right? Because it's off screen right here because of the way they are deciding to crop these trailers. yeah, the fish is completely out of frame here, so we don't know when it started, like, we don't know which attack it corresponds to. And man, it is really hard to figure out when these fish actually decide to do something, because right here, when he does this, it looks as if the fish changes its idle swimming loop to go over here, but not necessarily to attack Kurapika, right? And then once it's over here, it has a little bit of a wind up and then dives in. So maybe when you initially activate the fish, they start kind of in the top part of the screen, which means if you do something to activate them, they are able to immediately start targeting the opponent, right? As you can see here. But then maybe after they've taken a chomp out of the opponent, because they're right by the opponent, they would need to go away in order to be able to come back with some kind of speed, right? Because they don't stay on the opponent to bite Kurapika, right? It has to swim away and then come back to the opponent. And when it swims away, that's when it looks as if its idle animation is being interrupted. But when it goes from making it up here and then coming back to Kurapika, there's no jarring cut in the animation, see? See, that all seems smooth. Watch in slow motion again. So, see, that is when there was some kind of jarring cut in the animation. And then, once it starts moving, the entire animation is smooth. Launcher. Yeah, it'll be really fun labbing combos with the fish. Oh, that looked like, yeah, see, you can see another jarring cut in the fish animation, which means that he did something to send the fish onto Kurapika. See right there? Yeah, so as soon as their animation gets interrupted, they have to swim at least a certain distance away from the opponent before they can dive in. And I guess that's a way to balance it so they're not just constantly chomping on the opponent without having to move away first. Not a completely optimized combo, because you see that the fish at the last moment here didn't actually connect. Very interesting, though. Again, I think it's a little disappointing that they can be used on outdoor stages, but if that whole Infinity Storm thing is a way to justify using the fish on outdoor stages, it is at least an acknowledgement by the devs that they can only be used indoors. So I still appreciate that much, right? But my other question about the fish, aside from if they can be used on outdoor stages, would be, can they actually finish off an opponent, right? Because like I said earlier, the fish are presumably a way for Chrollo to get abilities from people with Bandit Secret, right? And so presumably that is why people cannot be killed by the fish until he deactivates the fish, right? So I wonder if a fish will be able to bring somebody down to 1 HP, but not 0, right? Like, you could bring them down to 1 HP, but if you hit somebody with 1 HP with the fish, it should do 0 damage. Because then you would keep it more lore accurate, and that wouldn't really make Chrollo much weaker of a character, because if somebody's at 1 HP, you could just kill them with Chip or something. I don't remember if Chip kills in this game. But if Chip does kill, you could just kill them with Chip, right? Or if Chip doesn't kill and you're doing some kind of fish combo, you would just make sure that the fish isn't going to be the last hit of the combo, right? You would want to make sure it's just any other move. So I think that's something that could still be preserved from the lore. And talking about this dash again, because of how much it's shown in this trailer, I really think that it might be a command dash, and also because he does an attack pretty much immediately out of this. See, it's kind of hard to tell because of the pose. It's a little hard to tell if he's just doing a button after a dash. But because it almost looks seamless going from this pose into... Obviously, there's a little bit of a jump cut with the feet. But in terms of him kind of keeping a low profile, and in terms of where his arms are, I'm thinking that this isn't just pressing a button after a universal dash. I'm thinking that this might be some kind of special command dash that Chrollo has. And from the command dash, he's able to do some kind of attack, this being one of them, right? And because he goes so low, I'm wondering if the point of this command dash is so that way he can low-profile projectiles, right? Because that definitely seems low enough to go under projectiles in a fighting game, right? I just wanted to show the, there it is. I don't know where I went. I just wanted to go back and show the dash again. See, yeah, he's definitely low enough to duck projectiles. See, his head is below Kurapika's waist. And then we see the other super. For some reason, he says Skill Hunter. I don't know why, because the book is named... The book ability is Bandit Secret or something like that, right? So Skill Hunter is not one of his abilities. Skill Hunter is just what he is. He is a skill hunter because he hunts for people's skills that he can steal, right? But he's saying it as if he's using Bandit Secret, and then he doesn't even use Bandit Secret. He just does the kick, which is actually keyframed very well, I might add. Completely unrelated to Hunter x Hunter. I just mean in terms of keyframing a kick like this. Very good keyframing with the fingers out like that. And I think this super might be the one that is just entirely cinematic with the fish. Let me watch this in real speed first, because I only saw this once before. See, I don't know why he says Skill Hunter. Yeah, so this super is entirely cinematic and actually ends with the damage being incurred by the fish. So I think that this super, it would be really fun if this super, regardless of how much damage it does, if it was just unable to bring somebody below 1 HP. But then again, this explosion of blood might actually be when the fish deactivate. So maybe they don't need to worry about the whole gimmick of it not killing, right? Because in the cinematic, it might be bringing the character to 1 HP, and then as soon as the fish deactivate, which could be part of the cinematic, that's when they explode, which I think is what's being implied here with the explosion of blood. Kind of reminds me of... Which super is that reminding me of? When the character turns around. Maybe I'm thinking of Thanos from Marvel Infinite, when he turns around and then closes his fist. And then the explosion happens, if I'm remembering that super correctly. I'm wondering if any of the screen is cropped during these cinematic things. Probably not, because this looks framed well. Like, this is obviously too close, right? But then as soon as it goes to the cinematic part, it seems framed pretty well. I doubt this is cropped at all. So this is probably everything we see in the cinematic of this super. And I'm always a fan of implied violence, right? Having the character explode just barely out of frame. I always think that's more impactful than just showing it happen. Which this game definitely needs more of. Despite the game being named NENxIMPACT, I really do think that the main critique of this game, a lot of people say that the game looks bad, which I have obviously disagreed with in the past. I think this game does not look bad at all. It doesn't look anything spectacular or noteworthy, right? But all of the characters look exactly like how they are supposed to look from the show. And I can't think of anything wrong with how Chrollo looks here, right? So I think the game looks just fine in terms of an accuracy standpoint and in terms of a graphical fidelity standpoint. But I'm wondering if some people are just noticing the lack of impact on some of these supers and attacks. And maybe because they are just visually seeing it, they're conflating it with the visuals of the game. And they think that the game just simply looks bad because they don't know how to articulate what they're seeing, right? Because, for example, let me hear this at full speed. See, I said before, watching this in slow motion, I think this is a very good keyframe. It's a very powerful keyframe. The visuals of this look definitely good enough in my book. I don't think there's anything to complain about in terms of the visuals. So why would this not be feeling impactful? I don't think that the hit stop or the cinematography or the sound effects are consistent with the visuals. I think the visuals are actually better than the hit stop and the sound effects, which would be the main things when it comes to impact. Because look at this. Listen here. It happens so fast. I think they should linger on some kind of hit stop or maybe linger on the keyframe just a bit longer and have some kind of bassier sound or something so you can feel the impact a bit better. I know I keep saying impact, but I'm doing that on purpose because the game is called NENxIMPACT, so you would expect a lot of impactful stuff in this game. And again, it's mostly for the supers because this is something I noticed when they first showed the game off at EVO Japan. I think the actual regular moment-to-moment gameplay looks good. I think the game only shows its problems. It only shows its visual problems when it goes to these cinematic supers, just because some things happen so weirdly fast, such as this. Yeah, actually, the cinematography of this one is really good. I know I mentioned cinematography as something that they could improve, but I think specifically with this Chrollo Super, the cinematography is good. The only thing it needs is just better sound effects and maybe a little bit more hit stop when the kick initially connects. When I was thinking of cinematography, the one that was really coming to mind was Uvo, whose trailer I recently analyzed and reacted to. Because when Uvo does Big Bang Impact in the show, there is so much impact to it, right? Again, using the word impact. But when it hits, it feels so impactful because it lingers on the hit stop. I know it's not, maybe it's not called hit stop when it comes to a show. That's more of a video game term. But for lack of a better term, the hit stop in the show is so satisfying, right? And in the game, he says Big Bang Impact, and then it hits, and then it's just over so fast. It doesn't linger on the hit stop, and I think that's something that they could definitely do to improve the game. And then after that, I don't think the game would have any kind of problems with its visuals or anything. So that was Chrollo. I was not expecting this video to be over 30 minutes long because in the last video I did, it was covering Uvo and Machi, and that one ended up being like 30 minutes. So I was expecting this one to only be like 15 minutes. But I guess it is okay considering it is Chrollo, and you know, a lot of people are going to be looking forward to this one. And again, there are so many different ways in which you could interpret his moveset. This one definitely necessitated some more talking, I think. It's really strange he didn't use the gallery fake puppets from the fight with Hisoka. And on that same note, it's kind of weird how much of his moveset uses the fish while none of it uses any other abilities, right? The reason it's weird is because his whole gimmick in, you know, the show and the manga, just his whole gimmick with his ability in general, the whole point of Bandit's secret is that he could have anything in that book, right? He could pull out any kind of ability, and he's supposed to have a whole bag of tricks that he has stockpiled in this book, right? And then if you're using the bookmark from his fight with Hisoka, not only does he have just a potentially unlimited, well, not unlimited, but in terms of what you can imagine, right? In terms of the possibilities, he could have anything, right? So not only is he supposed to have unlimited possibilities of what he's keeping in the book, but with the bookmark in his fight with Hisoka, it's not just unlimited possibilities, it's an unlimited combination possibilities as well, considering he can use two abilities at the same time. So that's his whole shtick. And you don't see any of that in this game because he seems to only use the fish, which is so strange. You know what? I think I just realized something. I think I might have just realized something that I completely didn't catch in the anime. Now that I see him holding the book with the fish, because I was thinking, wait, if he's not using anything from the book, why is he holding the book? Are the indoor fish not actually his own unique ability? For some reason in the show, I assumed that the indoor fish were his own unique ability that he was using in conjunction with Bandit's secret, but maybe it's actually something that's in Bandit's secret, and that's why he's actually pulling the book out here. So, yeah, that would actually explain why he's pulling it out. I can't believe I didn't catch that in the anime, if that's the case. I guess that's why he says Skill Hunter on this last super. Even though he should be saying Bandit Secret, right? But the reason why he's saying Skill Hunter or Bandit Secret is because the indoor fish, I guess, are in the book. Okay, I guess I somehow learned something. Let me know in the comments if you guys knew that already, or let me know in the comments if there's anything else I'm overlooking, because again, this character has a lot going on with his kit, and there are a lot of different ways in which you can interpret this into a fighting game, right? So I will see all of you guys later. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.